Sun high, water clear, air thick with salt and heat. Windows stay open, music travels further in warm air. Laughter spills into the street before you see who's speaking. Yes, this is the Caribbean you imagine. But step closer. The rhythm isn't accidental, the celebration isn't random, and the freedom isn't careless. The music in the distance, the feathers on the road, the way the island moves together. It was built from many histories, many peoples, many struggles learning how to move together. What feels effortless on the surface runs deep beneath it, because in Trinidad and Tobago, rhythm has roots. We unpack the unspoken rules behind the world's most fascinating cultures, what to expect, why it exists, and how to navigate it with respect. A MASX World Original. Foreign fine print, because every culture has fine print. Trinidad and Tobago, rhythm with roots. Where freedom feels effortless, but identity runs deep. Clause 1. Carnival. Identity in motion. Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago isn't just an event, it's a season, weeks of fetes, new Soca anthems filling the air, steelpan competitions turning panyards into arenas, energy building long before the road ever closes. By the time Juve breaks before sunrise, the island is already awake. And when Carnival finally takes the streets, it feels like the entire country is moving as one. To a visitor, it looks like celebration at full volume. But what you're seeing is something deeper. Carnival here isn't random joy. It carries memory. Steelpan wasn't borrowed, it was built. Soca didn't appear, it evolved. Voices that once had limited space found rhythm instead. What began as survival became expression, and that expression became identity. Carnival matters because it says something powerful. This is us, built here, shaped here, carried forward, generation by generation. Carnival isn't borrowed identity, it's lived identity. If you experience Carnival, don't just watch it, move with it, learn the music, understand the space you're in, respect the rhythm and the people who built it. And then, let yourself feel it. The bass in your chest, the heat on your skin, the surge of thousands moving together. Carnival isn't meant to be observed from a distance. It's meant to be lived. When you step into it with intention, you don't just attend Carnival. You become part of its energy. Clause 2. The wine and chip. How the road moves. If you ask the world what Trinidad Carnival looks like, they'll probably picture loud music, vibrant costumes, and these movements, chip and wine. During Carnival, you don't really walk, you chip. A small, steady shuffle forward that follows the rhythm of the music. Hundreds, sometimes thousands, moving together down the road. And sometimes, someone will whine near you. Whining is a circular hip movement done to the beat you feel in your chest. It can happen between strangers. It can last a few seconds. Then the road keeps flowing. To an outsider, whining can look provocative. But here, it began as expression. Rooted in Afro-Trinidadian traditions, shaped by West African dance, carried through Carnival's history of resistance and release. And that expression lives in the body. Whining isn't automatically romance, it's rhythm, a shared understanding on the road. When someone misreads it, makes it personal, makes it possessive, the air changes fast. Freedom works here because it's mutual. When you join the road, observe first. Feel the bass. Notice the flow. People move in sync, but without pressure. If you're comfortable, move with it. If you're not, step away with a smile. No confrontation needed. The road isn't private property. It's shared space. It runs on rhythm and mutual respect.
Clause 3. The sound built. Joy was engineered. The sound of Trinidad and Tobago did not happen by accident. It was built. Steelpan, now heard around the world, was shaped from discarded oil drums in the early 20th century. Young men in working-class communities experimented with metal that once carried oil, tuning it by ear until it could carry melody. It became the only acoustic instrument invented in the modern era. At the same time, calypso became more than music. It was commentary, satire, news carried in verse. And from calypso, soca emerged, faster, louder, built for movement, but still grounded in storytelling. What feels like effortless celebration today was engineered through experimentation, pressure, and persistence. Trinidad's history is not simple. Enslaved Africans were brought here under colonial rule. After emancipation, indentured laborers arrived from India. European powers controlled land, labor, and movement. Communities were separated by class and race. Opportunities were limited. Public space was regulated. But culture cannot be regulated forever. When traditional African drums were restricted, new instruments were created. When voices were constrained, they found rhythm instead. Steelpan transformed industrial waste into orchestra. Calypso transformed observation into performance. What began as adaptation became innovation. And over time, innovation became pride. When you hear steelpan, pause for a moment. Listen beyond the brightness. It carries experimentation, community, generations refining sound. When you hear calypso or soca, understand that beneath the energy there is lineage. These sounds are not background music for a beach. They are chapters of history. When you recognize that, the celebration feels different, not lighter, deeper. And when you move with that recognition, you begin to understand what rhythm with roots truly means. Clause 4. One nation, many origins, one identity. Trinidad and Tobago is deeply diverse. African, Indian, European, Chinese, Middle Eastern, indigenous, different faiths, different surnames, different ancestral journeys to the same island. And when you ask someone who they are, the answer is often simple. I'm Trini. Not divided first by origin, but united by place. Unity did not begin as harmony, it began as history. Different peoples were placed side by side, sometimes separated by law, sometimes divided by economics. But over generations, proximity reshaped identity. Markets blended, language evolved, music crossed boundaries. Religious holidays became national holidays. Diwali lights shine beyond Hindu homes. Eid meals are shared beyond mosques. Christmas parang travels through neighborhoods of every background. Unity here is not about sameness. It's about coexistence. Difference didn't disappear. It learned how to live together. If you visit, don't simplify what you see. Ask where a dish comes from. Notice how many influences share one plate. Respect religious spaces. And when someone says, I'm Trini, hear the layers behind it. On this island, difference doesn't compete. It coexists.
Clause 5. Just now. Time, island style. At some point, someone will tell you, "I coming just now." Just now could mean 10 minutes. It could mean a little later. It could mean when it reach. And it's said calmly, maybe with that small, mischievous smile, like you shouldn't stress so much. Not careless, just not in a hurry. Time here doesn't always push forward. It leans back. It stretches around conversation, around who's already present, around how the moment feels. Plans matter, but mood matters too. And sometimes, the mood wins. Still, when someone shows up exactly when they said they would, that effort is noticed. Flexibility works both ways. For business and boat rides, be punctual. For a lime, loosen your shoulders. Yes, you might adjust your plans. Yes, you might wait. But when they finally arrive, smiling like they knew you'd be fine, you'll probably roll with it, because the energy feels easy. And eventually, you stop fighting the clock. Not everything here starts on the minute. Sometimes, it just needs to start right. Clause 6. The face says it first. Warmth and expression. In Trinidad and Tobago, conversations don't live only in words. They live in tone, timing, and faces. An eyebrow lifts, a head tilts, a long stretches through the air. You'll hear ent, and somehow everyone understands. You may also be called darling, love, baby, sweetheart. And it can happen within seconds of meeting someone, at a bar, at a market, on the street. The tone is casual, familiar, unforced. Trini communication is layered. Words carry rhythm, faces carry meaning. An ent at the end of a sentence isn't filler. It's confirmation, agreement, invitation. An can correct you without confrontation. Those terms of endearment soften interaction. They lower distance. In some countries, calling a stranger baby would feel too intimate. In Port of Spain, it's cultural baseline. It doesn't mean you're special. It means you're included. Warmth here is public, not personal. Expression keeps conversation alive and tension from escalating. People read energy quickly here, and they respond just as fast. If you're visiting, listen with your eyes. Don't rush to interpret everything literally. You don't have to master the phrases, but you can match the energy. Smile when someone says ent. Laugh when the eyebrow lifts. If someone calls you love, accept it lightly. In Trinidad, even conversation has rhythm. Clause 7. Freedom has lines. Respect still matters. Trinidad and Tobago feels free. Music loud, energy open. Strangers call you darling. But that freedom has edges. Camouflage used to be completely banned for civilians. Today, fashion camo is allowed, but clothing that mimics official Defense Force uniforms is not. That line is still clear, because certain symbols carry weight. You see it early. Students in uniform walking home under the afternoon sun. Presentation taught young, structure worn daily. Here, people greet, on the street, in the shop, even stepping into a taxi, before anything else begins. Mornin', mornin', good day, good day. You don't skip it. Even in the most relaxed spaces, respect comes first. A simple exchange that says, we're here together. Trinidad and Tobago is expressive, but it is not careless. This is a country shaped by layered history, colonial rule, resistance, reinvention. Freedom here was not automatic. It was formed, and over time,
Dignity became part of the culture. Uniforms signal belonging. Greeting signals acknowledgement. Symbols signal authority, not out of fear, out of pride. You can lime all night, but you still carry yourself well. You can dance in the street, but you don't mock what represents the state. That balance between looseness and structure is intentional. If you visit, enjoy the openness, but read the room. Greet before you ask. Dress appropriately in official spaces. Be mindful of symbols tied to the nation. Notice how locals carry themselves, relaxed but composed. Freedom here isn't about ignoring lines. It's about knowing where they are and carrying yourself accordingly.
Clause 8. Small Island. Global Echo. Trinidad and Tobago is small, 2 islands in the southern Caribbean. But its sound travels. Steelpan orchestras perform across continents. Carnival traditions stretch from Port of Spain to London, Toronto, and New York. Angostura bitters, crafted in Trinidad for generations, sits behind bars around the world. Soca artists tour globally, yet return home to create again. The island may be small, the influence is not. This reach is not accidental. It grew from adaptation, from invention, from communities forced to reshape what they were given. Oil drums became orchestras, restrictions became rhythm, difference became identity. Because the culture was built, not borrowed, it carries weight. It resonates, not because it tries to dominate, but because it is rooted, alive, confident in itself. If you visit, don't just look for paradise. Look for what travels beyond it. Listen to the music, knowing where it began. Stand in the crowd and feel what was shaped here. Notice how freedom and structure sit side by side. Because Trinidad and Tobago isn't loud by accident. It's expressive by design. And long after the music fades, the rhythm stays with you. Trinidad and Tobago doesn't perform for the world. It creates for itself. The music was built here. The unity was negotiated here. The freedom was shaped here. Nothing about this island is accidental. Not the rhythm, not the pride, not the way strangers greet you like you already belong. This place learned how to hold difference without breaking, how to celebrate loudly without losing dignity, how to stay small and still echo globally. And when you leave, you don't just remember the carnival. You remember the balance, the discipline beneath the looseness, the structure beneath the sound, the history beneath the joy. That's the fine print. Not just how Trinidad moves, but why it does. This was Foreign Fine Print. Trinidad and Tobago, rhythm with roots. Because every culture has fine print. We've been exploring the rhythm beneath the celebration, the history beneath the sound, the structure beneath the freedom. What surprised you most about Trinidad and Tobago? Was it the unity? The discipline behind the energy? The way joy and dignity exist side by side? Tell us what stayed with you. We're reading every story,